morning, I'm Mai Rodriguez, sitting in for Mikey Oreta, and you're watching Business 360, where we break down the numbers, connect the dots, and give you the developments and insights you need to navigate, adapt, and lead. Let's dive right in. The headlines. The Maharlika Investment Corporation invests in the energy sector with the acquisition of a 20% stake in the synergy grid of the Philippines, worth nearly 30 billion pesos. U.S. stocks plunge due to advances made by a fast-rising Chinese artificial intelligence firm. And Mexico sets up a makeshift camp in anticipation of a deluge of deportees from the U.S. First, let's take a look at how financial markets performed overnight. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq ended sharply lower on Monday as Nvidia and other chip makers sold off after the surge in popularity of Chinese startup DeepSeek, a low-cost Chinese artificial intelligence model. This raised investor concerns about the outlook for current AI leaders in the U.S. DeepSeek has rolled out a free assistant which uses cheaper chips and less data. By Monday, DeepSeek's AI assistant had overtaken U.S. rival ChatGPT in downloads from Apple's App Store.
That's the real, I think, disruption for the markets today is not just cheaper, but a heck of a lot cheaper, 96% cheaper than what we're finding from the current spend in alternate models like ChatGPT and Gemini. So that is, something that is equivalent of, $5 million spent on the DeepSeek product, but it's $100 billion on the other side of the coin with some of these other products that are available. That's what's disrupting markets right now and why we see such a big impact on things like Nvidia.
The S&P 500 lost 1.44%, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 3.04%, but the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose by more than 0.5%. European markets were mixed. The UK's FTSE 100 was up 0.02%, Germany's DAX lower by 0.53%, and France's CAC 40 also down by 0.27%. The Maharlika Investment Corporation, or MIC, has purchased a 20% stake in the synergy grid of the Philippines, worth nearly 30 billion pesos. SGP, for its part, has a 40% stake in the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP. MIC President and Chief Executive Officer Rafael Consing explains the deal will give MIC 2 board seats in both SGP and NGCP. Consing adds the move will safeguard the country's power supply from external threats and disruptions. Energy Secretary Rafael Lotilla welcomes the transaction, saying the investment will ensure the affordability of electricity in the country. The National Bureau of Investigation denies allegations that a suspected Chinese spy is being tortured. The suspect's Filipino wife asserts her husband is not a spy. Nancy Carvajal has the details.
No torture. The National Bureau of Investigation maintained the rights of Deng Yuanqing, a Chinese national arrested on suspicion of espionage, has not been violated, and he remained safe inside the Bureau's detention facility, according to sources inside the agency. The source also said that the NBI leadership is still studying the request of the Chinese embassy to conduct a consular visit on Deng on the grounds that the accusations against him has national security implications. The NBI received a letter last week from the embassy seeking approval for a consular visit on Deng, whom they assert is not a spy for China. In a statement over the weekend, the Chinese embassy requested the Philippine authorities to avoid making baseless speculations against Deng. In a press conference in Quezon City earlier today, Noemi, the wife of the alleged Chinese spy Deng, declared that her husband is not a spy and has been living in the country for the past 10 years following their wedding in 2014. In the same event, the tearful wife shared that their child is also constantly asked about her father.
Mahigit 10 years na po siya dito. May anak po kami, 8 years old. Natatakot pa ako sa kahihinat na ng anak ko sa school. Dahil sa media na lumalabas na spy yung daddy niya, ayaw ko pong maisip ng bata. Kasi yung daddy niya, yun yung hero niya.
She also disclosed that she had talked to her husband, who told her not to worry because the Chinese embassy will help him with his case.
Nung kinausap ko, sabi niya, don't worry. Kasi alam kong mapapalaya ako kasi wala naman akong kasalanan. Huwag kang mag-aalala, ingatan mo yung sarili mo, yung anak natin, ingatan mo. Huwag kang mag-aano ng kung ano-anong iniisip mo. Kasi makakalaya ako, tutulungan tayo ng Chinese Embassy.
The NBI presented Deng and two Filipinos to the media last week. The trio were apprehended in Makati on January 17 and were caught in possession of surveillance equipment with reconnaissance videos and photos of military and police camps, including camps that serve as EDCA sites. An information provided by Philippine authorities said Deng is an expert in control and automation engineering and a graduate of the Army Engineering University of the People's Liberation Army. Nancy Carvajal, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Several global tech and financial giants plan to expand in the Philippines to improve healthcare and digital finance with the aid of artificial intelligence. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto met with senior executives of foreign firms on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Among the firms are US-based cryptocurrency company Coinbase, who sees potential in the Philippines' growing digital economy. Recto also met with officials of tech firm HCL Software to discuss potential collaborations in advancing the Philippines' digital transformation agenda. Another meeting was with UK-based digital bank Revolut to empower small businesses with enhanced credit access. The Trump administration's 90-day suspension of U.S. foreign aid will have a minimal impact on the Philippine economy. That's according to the National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA. NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan explains that foreign assistance from the U.S. represents a small fraction of the Philippines' overall economic activities. Balisacan adds the country's current flagship infrastructure projects are largely funded by other countries like Japan, South Korea, and multilateral institutions like the ADB and the World Bank. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is concerned by U.S. President Donald Trump's 90-day pause on foreign assistance. The UN chief said there should be exemptions to the aid stoppage so its humanitarian work will not be affected. The U.S. is one of the largest contributors to the UN system.
The Secretary General notes with concern the announcement of a pause in U.S. foreign assistance. He calls for additional exemptions to be considered to ensure the continued delivery of critical development and humanitarian activities for the most vulnerable communities around the world. Those lives and livelihoods depend on this support. The Secretary General looks forward to engaging with the new United States administration on the provision of much-needed development support to people grappling with the most difficult challenges confronting the developing world. The United States is one of the largest aid providers, and it is vital that we work constructively to jointly shape a strategic push forward.
In other news, Senator Raffy Tulfo urges the government to stop inspecting private motor vehicles and instead focus on public vehicles. Agatha Gregorio tells us why.
Motor vehicle registration may get easier if a call made by Senator Raffy Tulfo is granted. The senator wants the Transportation Department to suspend private motor vehicle inspection for further study.
Why not public motor vehicle inspection? Public. Mag-private. Abala lang yung sa private eh. At saka like I said, for the nth time, ito mga private vehicles, inaalagaan to ng mga may-ari nila kasi alam nila sila at mga mahal nila sa buhay ang nakasakay dyan. Kaya mini-maintain nila ito. Itong sa public ang hindi maintain.
Tulfo mentioned this after the DOTR spoke of a department order on inspections.
Ito po'y pinapalangkas pa sa level ng DOTR wherein certain type of vehicles which eventually sa dulo po ng programa lahat po ay talagang dadaan na sa complete motor vehicle inspection bago po mag-register. Hindi lang po yung emission, but yung total check-up.
Tulfo immediately questioned this, saying the complete motor vehicle inspection only gives fixers a job.
Precisely po, kaya po yung sa PMYC na pag-uusapan namin, because sila po, and ang commitment po natin dito yung sinasabi niyo po about fixers, na hindi na po mangyayari yung papasa ka doon nang hindi ka pumunta. That's precisely what Secretary Bautista has advised us.
According to Transport Group Manibela, they themselves have seen private motor vehicle inspection centers, and most of these are too small to accommodate buses and trucks for inspection. Transportation Undersecretary Jesus Ortega says they will make sure these centers are capable of inspecting large vehicles. On the topic of safety, Tulfo asked the PNP if they are able to monitor young snatchers who target motorists.
Meron tayong directives dyan, intensifying our police visibility
Okay.
in this convergence and also other areas where holdups or crimes are prevalent. So we'll be again reiterating our directives.
Tulfo says patrol cars should be strategically located in areas prone to hold-up incidents. The Philippine National Police agreed, saying they will implement this. Agatha Gregorio, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
We're taking a quick break. Stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and narratives that matter most to your bottom line.
Magandang gabi, ako si Corina Sanchez Rojas.
Magandang gabi, ako po si Pinky Webb.
Simulan na natin ang agenda.
Nasa radyo na, mapapanood, mapapakinggan.
94.7 FM.
Nahaharap ngayon ang Estados Unidos sa isa na namang 4 na taong Trump presidency.
Death squad rin yan.
Binawi niya yung sinabi niya.
Ing masalimuot ang buwan ng Oktubre para sa ilang bilyonaryo. Sa bawat issue may anggulo at ang balita may agenda.
Good morning, everyone! Singing. We want to every morning.
Hello, I'm Paulo Del Rosario. Let's get you up to speed with some news that you could use right now.
Rise and shine, beautiful people. I'm Ann Asis Carrillo. And I'm Monique Tuzon. Your mornings are mo fun with us.
So excited to bring it all here for you.
Make this day an unforgettable one by choosing joy and spreading kindness wherever you go. Only here on It's a Beautiful Day.
Welcome back to Business 360. As we dive deep into the evolving energy sector, all eyes are glued in the country's critical transmission networks that power our nation. In the first part of Mikey's interview with attorney Mona Lisa de Malanta, chairperson of the Energy Regulatory Commission, she discusses how the 101 billion pesos worth of transmission projects will impact the energy sector.
What's your take on the current state of the energy sector in the Philippines, and what are the biggest challenges and opportunities right now?
Thank you. I think, well, this may sound biased, but we are living in one of the most exciting times in the Philippine energy sector. Exciting because there are many challenges, but there are also many opportunities. And most of these challenges are really perhaps what we can call masked opportunities. We are looking at an immense growth in demand, boosted by the projects that are also lined up by the government and the private sector. So all these will need electricity, all these will need energy to be realized. Energy is like food for the economy. That's what I always say. It's like if our bodies need food in order for us to function, then our economy needs electricity, energy in order for it to function well and do the activities that it really needs to do so that our people will see progress. So we are at the cusp of that great transformation in the energy sector, also happening globally because of this energy transition that's happening worldwide.
Going to the first point, these masked opportunities. Can you give us these top 3 biggest challenges that are masked as opportunities?
Okay. All right. Well, the first challenge we have, and this is the challenge that's faced by not just us in the Philippines, but I guess developing economies that are really growing. Most of them are our neighbors here in Southeast Asia. The need for more supply. We see during the summer months, and more pronounced last year, 2024, during the summer months, where we had red alert incidents. That means even our reserves were not enough to cover our demand. We need to make sure this time around, this year, that will not happen again, which means that we need more supply to come in. We need more investors to come in and add to the generation capacity of the Philippines. That's one. I think that's primary supply, and it's always a work in progress because we will continue to increase demand. So we will need more supply to come in. Second, I think the next challenge, I wouldn't even say second, but perhaps at par with the need for supply, or that goes hand in hand with the need for supply. It's the upgrading, the expansion of our transmission system, our grid. Because even if the plants are built, but there is no highway for that plant, for those electrons to pass through, then it's really useless investment. The third challenge, I think, is that as we continue to add generation, as we continue to expand our grid, then this means that there will be issues, of course, of affordability. And who will pay for all these expansions, for all these new generation? The normal or the ordinary answer would be, of course, the consumers will have to pay because whoever uses should be paying. But what about the capacity of consumers to pay? That's where we come in also. That's where the ERC comes in, because part of our job is also to assess the ability of our consumers.
ERC recently approved 101 billion pesos worth of energy projects. Can you share what these projects mean for the country's energy supply and reliability? And when can we start to see the impact of this significant investment?
Private sector is the one that's driving the new generation coming in. But our role, both the DOE and the Energy Regulatory Commission, is to set up this environment, this enabling environment where private sector, if they choose to set up, for example, a power plant in a particular area, we need to make sure that the lines are there. So we would start to see the fruit of this labor of NGCP that was approved by the ERC over the next 2 to 5 years. That's the timeline for that set of approval.
Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange opened earlier. Let's look at the initial figures. The main index currently trading at 62.01 from yesterday's close of 61.96. Most sub-indices are in the green, starting with the all shares, 0.09%, financials, 0.1%, industrial, 0.08%, holding firms also up 0.3%, and the property sub-index, 0.74%. Those in the red are the services sub-index, 1.37%, mining and oil also down by 0.85%. So far, value turnover has reached 1.9 billion. Advancers currently lagging behind, decliners 54 to 22, 43 issues currently unchanged. Yesterday's PSE index was down by more than 1%, finishing as the worst performer in Asia. Year to date, it fell by 5% as traders await the outcome of the U.S. Federal Reserve's first policy meeting for 2025. Meanwhile, at the foreign exchange market, the peso opens weaker at 58.48 against the dollar from its previous close of 58.435. We're taking a short break. Business 360. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome
welcome to Follow the Money. I'm Rain Musni. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey.
The Trump administration showed interest in having a closer economic relationship with the Philippines.
I think we should be prepared for changes that will take place, and a lot of them are really beyond our control.
Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top.
The latest news, national issues.
With regard to was very vocal about charter change.
The political scene, the trust and approval ratings of President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte decline, and conversations with prominent personalities.
Brings back wonderful memories of past Christmases when I was a little boy in Iloilo.
Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. All these firsthand at the forefront.
You're back on Business 360. Mexican authorities have begun setting up giant tent shelters in the city of Juarez. This is in anticipation of a possible influx of Mexicans deported by the Trump administration. The temporary shelters can house thousands of people and will be ready in a matter of days. Authorities at the site will provide deported Mexicans with food, medical care, and assistance in obtaining identity documents. Trump has vowed to carry out the largest deportation effort in U.S. history, which would remove millions of immigrants. Nearly 5 million Mexicans are living in the U.S. illegally. That's according to analysis by Mexican think tank El Colegio de la Frontera Norte. Shares of plane manufacturer Boeing dipped on Monday due to a steep tech-concentrated sell-off. Boeing has fallen short of bottom-line estimates by analysts 4 times over the last 8 quarters. On January 23rd, the plane maker warned of a fourth quarter loss of about $4 billion, capping a year of regulatory scrutiny, supply chain delays, and a crippling strike. And that's it for Business 360. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.